2183 comes from the Judiciary Committee. It's a pretty simple bill. The bill requires that anyone in this state who circulates a petition for an initiated measure be a qualified elector who has been a resident of the state of North Dakota for 2 years. This bill will protect and encourage the grassroots North Dakota initiated measure process and protect North Dakota citizens from out-of-state special interest groups from influencing North Dakota law. Currently, the only requirement to circulate a petition for an initiated measure is that a circulator be a qualified North Dakota elector. Recent initiated measure attempts have shown us that out-of-state interests have targeted North Dakota and have attempted to use our initiated measure process to push their agendas. This bill will help to curtail that activity. Grassroots North Dakota initiated measures are an important part of our lawmaking process. By placing some reasonable parameters on who can circulate petitions, we can ensure that North Dakotans are in charge of changing North Dakota law. And just to give some real-world examples, over the last election cycle, Measure 3 and one of our state-run farm agencies had over 250 petition circulators. 0 of them would have been affected by this bill. But 2 other initiated measures dealing with medical marijuana and cruelty to animals, who we know from financial data were primarily sponsored by out-of-state groups, would have lost circulators because of this bill. This bill received a 4-3 do pass recommendation for the Judiciary Committee, and we request that this body do the same.
Further discussion? Hearing none, Senator Grabinger.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to the carrier. He did a fine job explaining the bill. I appreciate the amendments to this bill that reduced the number of years to 2 years rather than 3, and also removed the requirement that young people vote in previous elections before getting involved in our initiated process. But I still think this alienates some of our young people that many of us are trying to get involved in our government. I realize the desire to stop what happened in the last election, but this is not the way. I would encourage a red vote on this bill. Thank you.
Further discussion? Senator Mathern.
Mr. President, I have a question of the carrier. I am concerned about the last comment. Does this limit the person in terms of age, or does it not?
Senator Armstrong, do you wish to answer the question?
Yes, Mr. President. And Mr. President, that was my concern. That was one of my concerns as the bill is originally drafted too. No, it does not. It does not limit the person as to age, just to. An 18-year-old who turns 18 that's been a North Dakota resident can circulate a petition. I'm not sure if I'm answering the question.
Further debate. Senator Grabinger.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I can. The person under this bill would have to be 18 years old and have lived in this state for 2 years prior to being able to circulate the petition. If they weren't, you're right, they wouldn't.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, the question is on the final passage of Senate Bill 2183. Would the Secretary please open the key? All senators have voted. Any senator wishing to change their vote? Secretary close the key. Final tally on Senate Bill 2183 reveals 31 senators voting yea, 16 senators voting nay. The bill is passed.